Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz, coming to you from the Alaska's News Source Digital Desk. Happy Monday morning, everyone, and thank you for starting off your day and your week with Alaska's News Source. Starting us off, we have meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's going to give us a rundown over what our week is going to look like. Aaron.
Good morning, Adelmi, and good morning to everyone across Alaska. Now, that first alert weather day we were talking about through the weekend for South Central, that's been allowed to expire as we're not looking likely to see much in the way of freezing rain or some snow in the forecast. There is still some ongoing light drizzle across South Central. Those temperatures have been hovering near or above freezing, so you will encounter some of those slick roads across the region throughout the next couple of days, more so into the night and early morning hours. 14 in Fairbanks, 40 in Juneau, where we continue to see some of that showery weather that will continue to impact areas of southeast Alaska. And then as you head through the interior and areas to the north, this is where we continue to see fairly quiet weather and some colder conditions. Now, we can't rule out some light snow showers through the interior throughout the day. And we've also got some light wintry mix as you head out towards southwest Alaska, where we could see the potential for up to 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain throughout the day. But our next storm system arrives as we welcome in our Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, currently we are seeing a ridge across the state. This is keeping things fairly warm for both southeast as well as into south central, really the southern part of the state, holding on to some of these warmer conditions. This is our next low that we're going to be watching. That's going to drive more moisture into the state. That's going to drive in some warmer conditions aloft, and which will lead to the potential that we could see some significant icing for areas of southwest Alaska. Now, we may issue a first alert weather day for areas of southwest as we welcome in our Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on how things trend throughout the day. But do note that there is that potential. We could see some significant icing for areas of southwest. Now, the ice storm warning, we will see that potential for up to 1/2 an inch of ice accumulation out towards the Kuskokwim Delta coastline. As you head inland through the Yukon Delta and areas to the east, we'll see upwards of about 2/10 of freezing rain to be expected. So regardless of how much freezing rain will be in the forecast, that will lead to some significant impacts. That is our next big thing we're watching across the state. As that winds down, we'll see some colder weather to follow, with temperatures bottoming out well below zero across the state. Now, the coldest high that Fairbanks has seen this season is -1. Later this week on into the weekend, we're going to be talking about temperatures dropping as low as about -10 to -15 degrees for your highs. Those overnight lows will drop anywhere from about 20 to 30 below. So we still have some light precip across south central, ongoing rain showers out towards southeast. This is our next storm system, and again, as it builds northward, we're going to see a push of warmer air aloft. So while temperatures at the surface will stay in the 20s, if not the lower 30s, aloft will be warm enough that snow will melt through that warm layer, and then as it hits the surface, it'll land as freezing rain. So the Kuskokwim Delta coastline, this is where we're watching that potential through the overnight hours into tomorrow, where we could see some freezing rain into Bethel as well. And then, of course, the Yukon Delta, you'll also see that freezing rain and snow potential sticking around. This stays with us from Tuesday on into Wednesday. Of course, the greatest impacts look to be through the day tomorrow. And then you can see that snow building northward into the interior as that colder weather builds in south later this week. That's going to erode away any of that moisture, and we'll see the return to clearer and drier conditions, as well as even colder weather, which will spill back in across the state. So that ridge is with us for now. That's what's keeping things on the warm side and driving in more of that rain that we'll see as we welcome in our Tuesday. Not expecting any freezing rain across south central tomorrow due to the warm nature that we're sitting up under. However, we could see some spotty to isolated areas, more so in those notoriously cold spots that could see some light precip or light drizzle, freezing drizzle as we welcome in your Tuesday. But beyond Wednesday, we begin to see some colder weather that's going to spill back in across the state, and this has the potential to be the coldest air that we've seen so far this season for a good portion of Alaska. 17 in Fairbanks today, 35 in Anchorage. We've got ongoing rain out towards the Aleutians with highs in the mid to upper 40s, and you can see still fairly cool as you head out west with those temperatures sitting in the 20s. Now for Anchorage, we'll see those highs sitting right around the mid to upper 30s the next couple of days. That freeze-thaw pattern will keep those slick roads around, but nothing to really alert a first alert weather day. And then as we head from Thursday on into the weekend, temperatures take a downward trend. We're talking about highs in the teens this weekend with overnight lows in the single digits. Adelmi?
Thank you, Aaron.
What we know about the snowpack is that there are multiple buried weak layers deeper in the snowpack. So right now it's stormy. There's a lot of wind. It's raining and snowing, and it's pretty obvious that the avalanche danger is elevated. But what catches people off guard is that even in the breaks between storms right now, because we have that weak foundation, it's still going to be dangerous avalanche conditions.
According to the Chugach National Forest Avalanche Center, avalanches were reported in the Turnagain Pass area this weekend, with the avalanche danger high in that area and considerable in the Summit Lake area. He says there were multiple natural and human-triggered avalanches Friday and Saturday in Turnagain Pass, and one skier was caught but not injured. He says he urges people to check the conditions before going out because they can change quickly, and recommends anyone who does go into any kind of avalanche terrain in the winter to carry a basic rescue kit with an avalanche beacon, rescue shovel, and probe, and that you know how to use them. He suggests people avoid avalanche areas when the danger is there.
Our recommendation is that you just avoid avalanche terrain. That includes steep slopes and runout zones that could be lower angle, but they're at the bottom of avalanche paths. We've seen some avalanches running long distances into these flat runout zones. So when the danger is high like it is right now, we just recommend that people stay out of the mountains.
The Greater Fairbanks NAACP is hosting its Freedom Fund banquet next Saturday on the 6th. The fundraiser is planned to take place on the University of Alaska Fairbanks Wood Center and include food, live music, and talks about Black history in Alaska and other topics. Organizers say funds raised go toward workshops, Black History Month education for the school district, and scholarships, among other things. One board member says the organization focuses on everyone's equal rights.
That could be for Black, white, Hispanic, LGBTQ, those living with disabilities, as well as eliminating racial discrimination. So it's across the board. Most people focus on NAACP being a program for colored people, but it can, the rights and discrimination can be for everyone.
The event typically runs annually but did not take place from 2020 to 2023, making its return last year. It has been 7 years since the quake in 2018 that measured at 7.1 here in Anchorage. And if you were around for that one, the quake on Thanksgiving this year may have sparked a little concern. And these are just clips of it. It felt like the shaking went on for a long time. And here's more video. This is from the Anchorage area. In this video, you can see the effects of the earthquake as bottles were falling, and you can see people taking cover. And a crash on Seward Highway on the evening of Thanksgiving left one man dead. The Alaska State Troopers say the crash happened near mile 64 of the Seward Highway. That's not too far from Granite Creek. Troopers say preliminary investigation shows two vehicles that were going south collided. The driver of one of those was 63-year-old Michael Rudy from Anchor Point. Troopers say he died at the scene. Two other people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And also on Thanksgiving, one person did not make it out of a home fire in Eek. Troopers say the call about the fire came in around 11:40 p.m. Thursday, about 45 minutes after the home had started burning. Multiple people had made it out of the home, but troopers say a woman was missing. A state deputy fire marshal found human remains in the home. The cause of the fire is under investigation, but troopers say foul play is not suspected. And 2 Alaskans are now senators. The Alaska State Senate majority says the Senate met in Anchorage to confirm Kathy Tilton and George Rocher to the Senate. Neither are new to representing the Alaskans. They have both held a seat in the House. They are replacing Senator Shelley Hughes and Senator Mike Shower, who both recently stepped down. Governor Dunleavy appointed them to fill the vacancies earlier this week. And Alaska State Troopers say 44-year-old Jonathan Critchfield is now charged with misconduct involving a weapon and theft. According to troopers, officers found 2 sawed-off shotguns in Critchfield's bedroom while investigating the situation that led to the kidnapping and assault charges. Troopers say they also found a stolen rifle. AST says Critchfield, as well as another person, are accused of stealing electricity and services from Golden Valley Electric Association in excess of $7,000. We have reached out to Critchfield's attorney for a comment on the case, but we did not immediately hear back. In California, the community of Stockton is grieving after 4 people were killed and 11 others injured at a child's birthday party on Saturday. The ages of those injured range from 8 to 21 years old. 1 of 11 are in critical condition. According to Sheriff Patrick Withrow, the condition According to Sheriff Patrick Withrow, the condition of the others are not known. Residents and faith leaders held a vigil Sunday night to honor the victims and all those impacted by the shooting. Authorities are describing the shooting as a, quote, targeted attack, and now an urgent manhunt is underway to find the suspect. One eyewitness described what he saw.
Full rounds, well over 20. And then I walked out, and what I saw were a lot of people scattering, running, shouting, screaming, crying. Then I saw a few cars pull up, some parents coming up and being very, very upset, crying, asking where their kids are. So it was a kid's birthday party. It sounded like some of the parents had dropped maybe their kids off or relatives or whatever, and maybe they're going to come back and pick them up. I don't know. And they came back to this. It was the mass shooting.
Brent Terrell described seeing officers in the area all night long, and with the investigation continuing, the public is left with many unanswered questions. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with a Ukrainian delegation in Florida Sunday as peace talks to end the war with Russia continue. Work is still being done to hammer out the details of a 28-point plan that has drawn criticism for proposing Ukraine make major concessions to Russia. Yesterday, Secretary Rubio, who was accompanied by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, focused on reassuring Ukraine that it would be prosperous after the war. Rustin Umerov, head of Ukraine's Security Council, responded to Rubio by expressing his country's appreciation for U.S. efforts. And Luigi Mangione is due in state court on Monday. He's accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson about 1 year ago. His attorneys are seeking to have his diary entries and other evidence thrown out of court. They argue investigators illegally seized them from the 27-year-old's backpack without a warrant. Prosecutors disagree and have agreed to a hearing on the matter. Mangione also faces a separate federal death penalty case. And Congress returns this week to a Washington getting into the holiday spirit while voters in the Tennessee head to the polls for a special election. Our Washington correspondent, Katrin Asaf, has your week ahead from Washington.
After taking a recess for the Thanksgiving holiday, Congress returns to Washington with health care on the agenda. The Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee is set to hold a hearing Wednesday on rising health care costs and the increasing strain on practically everything. It comes as the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies are set to expire at the end of the year if Congress does not act. Also this week, both the Capitol and White House light their Christmas trees. House Speaker Mike Johnson will join a Nevada delegation to light the Capitol tree on Tuesday. The 53-foot red fir comes from Humboldt-Tiobe National Forest in the Silver State. Then on Thursday, President Donald Trump will light the White House Ellipse Christmas tree. This week is also special election season. Voters in Tennessee head to the polls for a race to replace Republican Mark Green, who resigned back in July. The race between Republican Matt Van Epps and Democrat Afton Bain is expected to be close, despite the Nashville area district voting for Trump last year by more than 20 points. That's your week ahead in Washington. I'm Kate Renee-Saff.
The U.S. Supreme Court is taking up a billion-dollar online piracy case. On Monday, justices will hear a dispute about peer-to-peer file sharing like BitTorrent. Record labels say internet companies should be liable when customers download pirated music. A jury previously ordered Cox Communication to pay labels $1 billion for widespread copyright infringement. However, Cox Communication says that would return providers into the internet police and would result in millions of customers losing service. Big tech companies like Google and X are backing the providers. The court's decision will determine how copyright law is applied to file sharing on the internet and possibly even future technologies like AI. And the man suspected in the shootings of 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. is now facing a murder charge after the death of one of the soldiers. President Donald Trump announced Thursday evening that Specialist Sarah Beckstrom died from her injuries sustained in the attack. On Friday, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, announced that the charges against the suspect, Ramalona Lakhnwalan, have been upgraded to include first-degree murder, in addition to the initial charges against him, including 3 counts of possession of a firearm during a crime of violence and 2 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed. And millions of SNAP food benefit recipients may soon have to meet new work rules to keep their benefits. The Republican-backed Big Beautiful Bill now requires at least 80 hours of activity each month for a much wider group of people. A Congressional Budget Office report says that will mean 2.4 million fewer people getting benefits on average each month. States are reporting confusion, rushed timelines, and technology systems not ready to implement the change. As a result, some residents could lose food and aid as soon as January. State officials warn the full impact will unfold as recipients hit their next recertification deadlines. Switching gears to some lighter news to get us into the holiday spirit, here's a story of a community coming together. Neighbors in West Deptford, New Jersey stepped up to replace hundreds of Christmas toys that were stolen from a nonprofit. Wheels of Change helps thousands of families every year, and now they have their community to thank for helping them. People donated toys to the nonprofit Friday morning to help replenish the stockpile of presents they had before a real-life Grinch stole them. That Grinch allegedly cut the locks off a trailer the nonprofit was using to store the toys. Those gifts were set aside for more than 600 children in need this holiday season. Unfortunately, there are no surveillance cameras outside, or organizers don't know when or who committed the theft. The founder of Wheels of Change said she wanted to thank the person who stole the gifts.
Not only you took from us, but you also have blessed us in the same time. Thank you. Thank you, because not only you took from us, but you also have blessed us in the same time, because now it is visible to everyone the work that we do, and we are receiving tenfold.
If you're in the area and want to donate new toys geared towards children ages 7 and up, the nonprofit Wheels of Change, you can drop them off at their location. Now going back to Alaska news, the the topic of star Alaskans in the pros, let's check in on a few of them, starting with the Boston Bruins goalie and Anchorage man Jeremy Swayman, who's off to a strong start here in 2025, currently second in the NHL in wins, fifth in save percentage, playing more minutes per game than he ever has before. The 27-year-old still anchoring the net for Boston as he has since 2021, helping keep his Bruins squad in second place in their division. And out of the gridiron for an update on Brandon Peely stepping up on the production in year number 3 in the NFL. The Seahawks defensive tackle also out of Anchorage with 9 total tackles, over twice as many as he had in his career coming into this year. A couple of those combining to form 1 tackle for loss. He also had a forced fumble on a kickoff against the Commanders earlier this year, part of a strong Seattle defense that has the Pacific Northwest squad at 9-3 and tied for the first place in the NFC West. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra for this Monday morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and starting your day off with Alaska's news source. We'll see you again at noon for the latest in news, weather, and more. Have a good day.